Hello, and welcome back to another Dwarven Tavern review of the Dungeon Master's Guide, 5th edition. Very exciting to have it. In this episode, we're going to continue talking about Dungeon Master Ing and why this book is as cool as it is. This book covers a lot of stuff. It starts out with talking about the gods of your world and the big picture in creating your own world, or possibly more fitting would be to how to populate an existing world. You can take, and this is Dungeons and Dragons, right? You can take anything and make anything out of it. It's your world. So, with that being said, you have some decisions to make, and you have some decisions to make. It's just all there is to it. You have choices, and this book is replete, as it were, with options for the Dungeon Master, which is what a good Dungeon Master's Guide is supposed to do, which is why it's getting very high marks. I wasn't perfectly thrilled with the artwork like I was in the other ones, because there was some stuff that was like not very cartoony. So it's probably going to get high marks, but it won't get 5 axes. It'll get like probably 4.9 or something. 4.999 axes. 999. What movie is that from? So, yeah, leave it in the comment. Answer it in the comment, and you might get a prize. You never know. I never know. So, we move on after you've decided the gods and the humans that are interacting, or not just the humans, but the creatures that interact with said deities, or lack thereof. You may have no gods. It is your world. Do what you will. Then it goes on to describe mapping your campaign. And it has a ton of really cool, again, very reminiscent of the Dungeon Master's Guide from the first age of gaming. And it talks about the scale. And it talks about combining scales and settlements and the kingdom scale and the province scale. And it gives you very, very good guidelines from which you may build your world. So, you take your hex paper, you Google, printable hex paper, you print it out for free or whatever, and then you start putting down your map. You put your map down. It's like, you're a stupid map. No, you put your world, you build your world on your hex paper, and you make your map one page at a time, and you've got this, this grandiose scheme, and you do it just like you would eat an elephant, one bite at a time. So this has the guidelines you need to make that happen, right? So you can actually see, what's this supposed to be, or what should this be, so you can, for example, get carried away. On a kingdom scale map, each hex represents 6 miles. A map at this scale covers a large region about the size of Great Britain, or half the size of the state of California. It's plenty of room for adventuring. Okay, not bad. Let's see. A single sheet of hex paper with 5 hexes to the inch is ideal for most maps. So 5 per inch. Just remember that, and you'll be fine. And then that's where you get the 6 miles per hex and your California thing, or your half California thing, your And so then it goes to the continent scales, where each hex represents 60 miles. And then combining scales, whenever you start with, it's easy to zoom in and out on your maps. On a continent scale, hex represents an area of 10 kingdom scale hexes, obviously 6 and 60. Then 2 cities are about 3 hexes, 180 miles apart. and so forth. So that makes that makes it super easy for you to and this kind of information is it's not often readily available. I mean, you can Google, what is a kingdom scale map like, and you may have to search a while to get to it. The information's right here. That's why I love my Dungeon Master's Guide, because they give you that information. Okay, then settlements. For human or non-human settlements, it goes into the sizes thereof, or the suggested sizes. None of these rules are set in stone. None of them are allegory. You can you can make up stuff. If you think, okay, in here a village is 1,000 miles, or 1,000 miles of village. That is a big honkin' village. I'm sorry, that's not a village. However, if read correctly, it will say a village has a population of up to 1,000. So men, women, and children. And let's see. It says the government is usually a noble. It rules the village. The noble is usually not present. So Lord Tarkensmirth is not. He doesn't have time for this little ragtag village, as it were. He'll have his tax collector come and visit and say. However, the organizations, a village might contain 1 or 2 temples or shrines, more likely a shrine, I would think. Settlements are agricultural villages supporting themselves and nearby towns or cities with crops and meat. I like the way that sounds. I love eating crops and meat. As a matter of fact, I went into Applebee's the other day and I said I would like a plate of meat and crops, and they brought it to me and it was great. Villagers produce food in one way or another. Everything either is or is not ice cream. If not by tending the crops, then supporting those who do by shoeing horses, weaving clothes, milling grain, and the like. Blah, blah, blah. And it goes on. The only thing it doesn't go into that I could see here, and let me take a quick gander, is the ratio of adult males of combat readiness, but you could probably assume that it was like a third of those numbers, or fewer. So if you have 1,000 people in a village, then you probably have anywhere from 2 to 400 of those as able-bodied for combat. And the reason I say that is because, man, a wife, and a child. So sometimes there's more children, and it's up to you. Again, that's something you can decide. It takes a little bit of logic, just a little bit. A town is up to about 6,000. A city is up to about 25,000, and up. And so then it goes on to a list of government types, like the autocracy, the meritocracy, where the most intelligent and educated people oversee the society, often with a bureaucracy to handle the day-to-day work in government. In the Forgotten Realms, scholarly monks preside over the fortress library of Candle Keep, overseen by a master of lord called, fittingly, the Keeper. So it would be nice if our own government, don't get me started, I don't even think they know what a meritocracy is in the current establishment. And I'm not even talking about the current ruling establishment. I'm talking about both parties and in this country that's not supposed to be a two-party system, etc. Don't get me started. So, the government, you can have a monarchy, an oligarchy, a plutocracy, and etc. And it has, a random table. I love tables. You know how I am. You know how I love my tables. And it you know, it's like, okay, this society is rolls dice, a satrapy. And it's like, what's a satrapy? Isn't that one of those guys with like half goat? And I'm like, no. And then she was like, conquerors, a satrapy, conquerors and representatives of another government wield power, ruling the settlement or region as part of a larger empire. The satraps are little pieces of wood with a spring, and you pull it over and set it and put cheese on it, and it catches the sats. Are bureaucrats and military officers of unusual characteristics, ROUSs, or BOUSs, bureaucrats of unusual characteristics. So the cities of Highport and Sunderham, in Greyhawk campaign setting are satrapies. God, reading is good for you. Controlled by agents of a vicious gang of marauders known as the Slave Lords. So you watch out, buddy. It's just controlled from another place. Okay, so when we return, we will continue this in-depth look at the Dungeon Master's Guide, and don't forget you can look them up at www.dungeonsanddragons.com, and we are www.dwarventavern.net. Don't forget to subscribe and look us up on Facebook and for news and such that we will have available there. And remember that we wish for you to want for nothing but adventure, and at first I feared it, then I charged. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.